Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. My name's Mark Sennett. I'm the CEO of Western Business Media, which is the publisher of Health and Safety Matters. And I want to start off this podcast by dedicating this podcast in the memory of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Last week we saw the very sad news that the Queen has sadly passed away at 96 years of age after 70 years of being the monarch for this country and a fantastic public servant. We've actually changed the front cover of this edition of Health and Safety Matters to have a black logo commemorating the Queen and, as I said, her fantastic dedication to public service. Very, very sad news, but I want to dedicate this edition of the podcast to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. So as you know, this podcast comes out on a monthly basis, and please do share it with your industry colleagues and friends. If you're not already subscribed, please do so through iTunes or whatever podcast platform you use, such as Spotify. You can also watch it on YouTube, but definitely we would ask you to please subscribe to this so you can get automatic notifications of when the podcast comes out. And once again, we are proud that this podcast is sponsored by the Health and Safety event. If you're not familiar with the Health and Safety event, it takes place at the NEC in Birmingham, and it takes place next year in 2023 on the 25th to 27th of April 2023. And actually we have our own Safety and Health Excellence Awards in the middle night of that at the Vox at the NEC in Birmingham on the 26th of April. The Health and Safety event is the largest national health and safety event in the United Kingdom, and it's co-located with the fire safety event, the security event, and the workplace event. Registration will soon be opening for it towards the back end of the year. It'll be completely free to attend, but if you want all the latest information on the Health and Safety event, all you need to do is go to www.healthandsafetyevent.com. And on that vein, I'm really pleased to make an announcement about the Health and Safety event and Health and Safety Matters. We've actually extended our partnership with the Health and Safety event to continue as a strategic partner for many years to come. So those of you who know the history of our company, we launched the Health and Safety event, and then the previous owners of my company, Neil Weston and Tim Else, sold the business and the exhibitions and the magazines to 19 Group, who are funded by Phoenix Private Equity. And I, along with my business partners, Danny Kosovu and Keith Gabriel, bought back all 7 publications, which includes Health and Safety Matters, as part of a management buyout. Now, for the last 3 years, I've been doing content for the Health and Safety event. I won't be doing that moving forwards, but I'm very proud that we've got a long-term partnership with the Health and Safety event and the Fire Safety event and the Security event for that matter and the Workplace event, where we will continue to be the official publication of the Health and Safety event. You will see us promoting the events heavily, a really great partnership. So, we're very excited to announce that. We announced it on our website earlier this month, and, that's something that is great news. And, there's great content on the Health and Safety event. It is the single biggest gathering of health and safety professionals in the United Kingdom on an annual basis. So, more information about the Health and Safety event, please do go to their website, healthandsafetyevent.com. But while we're talking about Health and Safety Matters, you don't have to wait for this podcast, as you know, to get all the latest health and safety news. You can go to our website, which is hsmsearch.com. And why should you go there? Well, I've just said you get the latest news and prosecutions, products and services there, but also you can sign up to get our magazine in print or digital form for free. You can also sign up to our twice-a-week e-newsletter, which has got over 80,000 subscribers to it now. It's incredible how many of you have signed up to that. You can also see all of our upcoming CPD webinars and look at our back archive of CPD webinars. All you need to do there is go on the webinars tab. They are all completely free to go to, whether you watch them on demand or go to the ones in the future. So well worth a look. So let's do what we normally do and start with the news. So IOSH has urged the government to raise asbestos awareness. So the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, IOSH, has called for the government to work with policymakers, regulators, employers and worker representatives to increase awareness about asbestos. This has come after the government rejected a recommendation by the Work and Pensions Committee to set a 40-year deadline to remove asbestos from all public and commercial buildings. IOSH says more needs to be done to ensure people aren't exposed to the deadly material. Despite its use in Britain being banned since the turn of the century, it's believed that hundreds of thousands of non-domestic buildings constructed before this time still contain asbestos. IOSH has been calling for more to be done to protect people since it launched the asbestos phase of its No Time to Lose campaign in 2018. At that time, it revealed the findings of a survey of tradespeople which showed a worrying lack of awareness about the material following the recent government decision. It's now renewed this call. I mean, I've worked for a company before that was moving premises, and I know those premises were being developed, and our move was delayed because asbestos was disturbed in that old building. This is still a problem. Can be fatal. It can lead to a fatal illness, and I couldn't agree with IOSH more here. More needs to be done, and it's disappointing to see the government reject this recommendation. But IOSH had more to say on this. Their head of safety, Ruth Wilkinson, said asbestos remains a global challenge to both occupational and public health. IOSH was pleased to support the Work and Pensions Committee inquiry, and we supported the recommendation for there to be an overall plan developed by the government and the Health and Safety Executive. But removing asbestos is something which is fraught with risks. So we called for caution over doing this without considering research and evidence around safe removal and disposal. We requested that any options, planning and decision stages consider all hazards and risks in relation to the in-situ removal, transportation and disposal of asbestos. What is a significant concern is a lack of consistency in managing asbestos among duty holders and a lack of awareness and knowledge about it among those who are coming into contact with it, particularly smaller businesses. Now, asbestos, as we talked about, is kind of the current theme of this podcast this week. And if you want to read more about that, just go to our website, hsmsearch.com, and just type in IOSH urges government to raise asbestos awareness, or IOSH asbestos awareness. It will come up. And obviously the issue there that has heightened is also the fact that it's not just the need to remove this asbestos, it's the need to remove it safely, to make sure competent people are doing it. It's not just the removal where you can be exposed to, but it is the disposal of it that needs to be safe, so it can't spread and affect other people, let alone the people that are disposing it. So again, I would completely support IOSH on that one, 100%. So prolonged exposure to crystalline silica, or RCS, could lead to life-changing respiratory conditions such as silicosis and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And that's come obviously from the warning from the Health and Safety Executive. As part of the HC's role as enabling regulator, it's recently refreshed its silica guidance. And you can get straight link to this by going to our website, which is www.hsmsearch.com, and just type in the search box HSE Workplace Silica Guidance, and that will come up. So, as we said, they recently refreshed its silica guidance for brick and tile manufacturing, stonework and foundries, ahead of a manufacturing sector focus inspections in the autumn-winter this year, and is also established an e-bulletin to support this industry. So again, you can get the link to that e-bulletin by going to that news story. Well worth signing up to for free. So silica is a natural substance found in most stone, rock, sand, quartz and clay. Silica particles are produced during many manufacturing tasks, including those materials. So silicosis, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD for short, and lung cancer can all be caused by breathing in tiny particles of silica. Over time, the exposure to silica particles can harm workers' ability to breathe and cause irreversible, often fatal, lung disease. So, what I want to flag up here is, starting in October, HSE inspectors will begin a targeted inspection initiative focusing on the manufacturing businesses where materials that can contain silica are used to ensure they have control measures in place to protect their workers. This will include brick and tile manufacturers, foundries, stoneworking sites, and manufacturers of kitchen worktops. So if you work in those sectors, a heads up, the HSE inspectors will likely be coming knocking on the doors, on random targeted inspections there to make sure that workers are being properly protected in terms of their respiratory health. So, I think we all know this, but employers have a legal duty to put in place suitable arrangements to manage health and safety to ensure that you comply with the COSH regulations, which is the control of substances hazardous to health. So inspectors on these proactive inspections will be looking for evidence that businesses have put in place effective measures, such as local exhaust ventilation, water suppression, and where appropriate, the use of protective equipment such as respiratory protection, RPE. And this is all obviously to reduce workers' exposure to RCS. If any health and safety breaches are discovered, the HSE will obviously then look to take enforcement action. So it's an important campaign. It's great to see the HSE being proactive, going into workplaces to make sure people are compliant, because we need to make sure that people are protected properly in this way. So I'll finish that off by saying, here was a comment from the HSE's head of manufacturing, David Butter. He said, it's hugely important for manufacturing businesses where workers use materials that contain silica to act now to ensure they comply with the law and protect their workers from the risks of devastating lung disease. Businesses should take note that good ventilation in the workplace and protective equipment are just some of the measures they need in place to protect the respiratory health of workers. So, yeah, again, if you want to find out more about any of those news stories, just go to hsmsearch.com and you can either look at the news section, or you can go straight through to the search box and type in to look at any of those. So very much had a health focus on the podcast this time. But now I just want to tell you about some other industry news that's coming from us. The entries are now open for the Safety and Health Excellence Awards 2023. It was so good to see everyone back face to face in April at the awards do. We had nearly 500 people there. It is the sector's biggest networking evening, and the reason we launched it several years ago was to recognise the great work that you guys do. It's come to become something that has grown and grown and grown, and people, the best part of my job, I could say to this, is when I get so many emails and calls coming in of people genuinely excited to be shortlisted, let alone if they win the award or get commended or highly commended. Definitely the best part of my job. And I personally felt right from the start when we launched these that it's really important that this profession gets recognised for the vital work it does in keeping people and property safe. Let's go back to the start of this podcast, where I've just shared with you figures from the HSE, where we're continuing a downward trend of workplace fatalities. Now, that, again, like I said then, is due to the vital work that you do in keeping people safe. And that deserves to be lauded. It deserves to get recognition. So we're really, really excited to open these awards again. And it's completely free to enter. And please do enter. I really strongly urge you to do it. It'll only take 10, 15 minutes of your time. And I can tell you from what I see, the interaction I have with you guys when you do, the genuine excitement that your colleagues will have, or your partners will have, or your staff will have when they notice that they've been shortlisted, if they make it, really does a huge amount for morale, and it raises the profile of your company or your brand, and it's something well worth doing. It's completely free to enter. The entries close on the 15th of February 2023, and we will announce the shortlist in March, and then we'll have a fantastic awards night at the Vox at the NEC on the middle night of the health and safety event, and that will be on the 26th of April 2023. And we've got the fantastic Rob Beckett as our host of those awards this year. But I just want to run through the categories for you. I'm going to start with one that's very close to my heart, the Alan MacArthur Unsung Hero Award, which is sponsored by 3M. So this category was launched in memory of Alan MacArthur, a friend of all of ours here who sadly passed away a few years ago. He was a 3M employee, and he dedicated 20 years of his life to improving health and safety. So this category has been running for a few years and is in his honour. Alan was one of the people we spoke to when we were going to launch the awards, and he was really excited about them. And this category is a fitting memory for him. And it's aimed at anyone in your business that you think is an unsung hero at improving health and safety standards across your business, your supply chain, or with partners. We've got the Best Health and Safety in Manufacturing category. We've got Best Health and Safety Project. We've got the very popular Health and Safety Manager of the Year category, which we get so many entries each year for that. We've got the Health and Safety Team of the Year, also get fun entries of that, which is sponsored by IOSH. Campaign of the Year. The Lifetime Achievement Award is something that the judges and the BSIF pick, and something that, we are very excited always to reveal on the night who's won that. Then we've got the Rising Star of the Year Award, or the Rising Star Award for short, which is sponsored by Evatix. And that really is a rising star in your business. It's been in the business only a couple of years. It's really done an improvement to health and safety. Then we've got the Safer Logistics Awards, which is a celebration of safety excellence in the logistics and supply chain sectors. We've got the category that was new last year, the Woman of the Year Award, sponsored by Cromwell. And that's designed to recognise a female in the health and safety sector who's made a significant contribution to improving standards in the workplace for health and safety. Got a brand new category this year, which is Marketing Campaign of the Year. And this, I'm quite excited about this category. This category is designed to recognise the implementation of a marketing campaign that's led to significant improvements to health and safety for people or premises, or the use of products. We've got another new category this year, Distributor of the Year. So this category is designed to recognise distributors of health and safety products that have gone above and beyond to ensure great customer service, fulfilment of customer needs, and demonstrated great product and market knowledge. Another new category, the final new category, and the final category full stop actually, is the Best Driver Risk Management Performance Award, which is sponsored by National Highways. This is something, driver safety, that is such an important issue. So many of us drive for work. So many of us have fleets of drivers working. And we really wanted to work closely with Driving for Better Business and National Highways to raise awareness on this. So this award has been developed to recognise employers who have proactively demonstrated a consistent and comprehensive approach to the management of their work-related road risks, and in doing so have delivered significant business benefits through the reduction in vehicle-related incidents and collisions involving staff who drive for work. Couldn't be more important. I really want to see as many people enter that as possible, showing what you've done to try and minimise incidents or collisions involving staff who drive for work. And, huge thanks to Driving for Better Business and National Highways for supporting us on that. And, huge thanks to all of our sponsors. I've mentioned many of them there. Our headline sponsor is Eco Online. We've got Martor, also a sponsor. Safety Rocks, who are the sponsor the first time of Rob Beckett, our host. And of course, these awards are done in conjunction with the British Safety Industry Federation, our key strategic partner. And they, thankfully, once again, will be delivering their awards, their very coveted BSIF awards as part of this process. That they'll be doing the BSIF Customer Service Award, the BSIF Product Solution Award, which is a PPE award, and another Product Solution Award, which is a Safety Product Award. And they'll also be doing the long-established BSIF Safety Solution Award. All of the details about how to enter this, please do it. Go to our website, www.she-awards.co.uk. Completely free to enter. It's open now. As I said, huge thanks to all of our sponsors, which also includes the health and safety event. But please do enter. It's the perfect way to get you, your colleague, your staff, a product, your organisation recognised for the vital work you do in keeping people safe. So www.she-awards.com. And the final thing is, if you don't know, we've got the Health and Safety Matters Digital Conference taking place over 2 days on the 5th and 6th of October. It's completely free to attend, and you will get a CPD certificate for attending. We've done it last year, and we've done the HSM PPE Digital Conference earlier in the year. This is a great way to network as well. You can ask live questions to our speakers. You can interact with the sponsors on there in live chat. You can see videos, exclusive videos from them, and PDFs in the sponsors area that you can download as well. But you can also network with each other. You can have group chats, which we can all see in the main room. You can direct message any delegate that's there. That's a private direct message. Not even the organisers myself can read those. And you can request video calls with other delegates. So I'd encourage you to definitely fill in your profile and do that. But the content is really the real reason you want to be there. And we've got a fantastic lineup of content for this. So it's over 2 days, the 5th and the 6th of October. On the 5th of October, we've got Alan Murray from the BSIF. He will be talking about the Registered Safety Supplier Scheme for BSIF. We also have got headline keynote address from Eco Online, who's the headline sponsor of the event. We've got Making PEEPs Personal, which is from Safety Chair Adam Walton there. Adam will explore PEEPs and why they're important So that's your personal emergency evacuation plans, if you don't know that for short. I'm so used to acronyms in this sector. We've also got managing workplace stress from a distance, which will be delivered by Natalie Sherborne from IOSH. We've also got Kevin Bampton, the CEO of the British Occupational Hygiene Society, who will be talking about hearing protection, mental health, physical safety, and sustainability. Then we go on to day 2. And on that, we've got Greg Ward, who's the head of corporate engagement from IOSH, talking on catch the wave and secure your future. So that will be how to find out how OSH professionals are already leading the way and how they can continue to support business to protect their people and in return their futures. Then we've got a panel session that actually I'll be chairing and hosting with Martor, with Chris Brown, their managing director, and Ian Suggett, the national sales manager. And that'll be Knives, the unsung business heroes. So it'll be an interactive presentation which is aimed at opening your eyes about the importance of knives, which allow businesses to run smoothly. So that'll be a really interesting session. I encourage you to come to that. It's a bit different. And, if you take knives out of factories, warehouses and workshops, they'll grind to a standing halt, obviously. So this session will be talking about the use of them, but more importantly, how to use them safely, how to reduce hand injuries and stuff like that. Another session that we've got on, and we're very excited about, is from Marcus Herbert, the head of wellbeing at the British Safety Council, and that will be called The Line Manager's Paradox, the value and impact of line managers on workplace wellbeing. We're also going to have an address from the Health and Safety Executive as well to round things off. So it is completely free to attend this. You get a CPD certificate for both days. So I would encourage you to come to as much as you want. If you can't come to all of it, you can come to some of it. Or if you miss some of it, you'll be able to watch it the following week on demand for a whole year by session. So please do register. I'll give you the whole domain name and then I will give you a quicker way to get to it. The domain name to register for free is hsmdigitalconference.com. hsmdigitalconference.com. Now, if you can't remember that, it's not a problem. You can go to our website, hsmsearch.com, and it is on the main navigation saying Digital Conference. Or you can just Google Health and Safety Matters Digital Conference. Put in any search engine, up we pop. But the direct web domain, once again, is hsmdigitalconference.com. Takes place on the 5th and 6th of October 2022. We've already got over 1,500 of you registered to come, and we're over a month out when I record this, roughly. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I'd encourage all of you to attend if you can. So now it's time to introduce our guest on this edition of the podcast. So in this edition of the podcast, we sat down with Dan Hobbs, who's the CEO of Protex AI, and I found a really interesting conversation. It's all about artificial intelligence and how it is benefiting, and we can really look forward to it being more incorporated in health and safety in the future, and really how it is supporting health and safety, and just going away from misconceptions that Big Brother is watching you is what AI is all about. So I sat down with Dan earlier, and here's what he had to say. Hi Dan, how are you?
Not too bad, Mark. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. I mean, I've been really looking forward to our chat today. It's a very different take on the health and safety sector, and I love to do that on the podcast. So just before I go into the questions, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role at Protex AI?
Sure thing. So my name is Dan. Great to meet or speak to your listeners. And I'm CEO of Protex AI. So I manage kind of the whole day-to-day aspect of the company.
So, yeah, AI is obviously what we're going to talk about today. And yeah, I want to talk about misconceptions in the AI sector as we go along. But let's talk about Protex AI, your company, a moment. Can you, for those of our listeners that aren't familiar with you, and Dan, our listeners can be health and safety managers, they can be risk assessor consultants, etc. They might not know who Protex AI are, and I'm very much hoping they will do by the end of this conversation. But can you tell us more about what Protex AI does, and how has the business come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So for Protex AI, we use camera software to identify danger before people get hurt. And we do this all using this thing called computer vision and AI. So what we do at Protex is we link in with existing CCTV infrastructure. And we allow companies like M&S, like some of the biggest companies in the world, to identify the behaviors that lead to accidents so that the companies can stop the behaviors from happening rather than waiting for the accident to occur. So we're being using kind of very much the proactive sense when it comes to safety. And it's a totally new kind of wave on how we manage and how we look at safety using technology.
So obviously your business is changing and is growing and growing, and we'll talk a lot more about the AI sector in a minute. But we were talking off air about big funding announcement you've got. You managed to secure $80 million of additional funding. Can I ask how this has come about, what it's going towards? Because it sounds quite exciting from what we were talking about off air.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, from our perspective, we very much are trying to provide a lot more to the market, and I think that this raise is helping us to do that. We're building out that whole operations team. We've got some awesome customers on board, and we're super grateful for them. But now with this money, we're now able to cater for a lot more, which is great because we have a lot more demand coming in from companies that are trying to get ahead of the curve on safety. I guess from our side of things, the whole company started out just from a story we heard on a site in Ireland where a guy actually unfortunately died on site on a big manufacturing site, and we thought it was this freak accident. But how they managed the safety for that is they went back through the CCTV to try and figure out what happened, and they noticed that the behaviours that led to that accident were actually happening day in, day out. And we said, okay, this mustn't be just this one company. So with this money, we're able to build out the product more, and are helping more companies on board a more proactive safety culture within their companies.
Yeah, it's a very different angle on safety culture, which is what really, when we were talking a couple of weeks back before we agreed to do this, AI is coming more to the forefront of health and safety. EHS sector as a whole is really in the early adopter stages of the technology, isn't it? Can you explain to our listeners how you see AI becoming more to the forefront of their sector?
Sure. Yeah, I think when people think of AI, it seems like this, Star Wars-esque type thing or this Terminator thing. But it's becoming more readily available, not just in industry, but across the board. And there's no reason why it can't be applied to EHS. And it is, especially with ourselves. And there's other companies in like sensors and stuff. Technology as a whole is becoming much more widely available. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be using it in the safety realm. So I think when we look at safety as a industry or as a job or as a concept, it's all about data. And it's how much data we have in order to make the right decisions. And what AI can do, especially the way we use it through camera software, and a lot of other companies are doing it through different aspects and different folds, it is providing us with that data in order to make the right decisions and those data-informed decisions. So that's why it's becoming a lot more popular in other aspects, and it's starting to become popular in the safety realm too.
And now let's talk about the common, we can call it misconceptions or conceptions of AI. And I think you've touched on it, that is Big Brother watching you, and is this all about watching people? It is a concern and a misconception in this situation. But we talked about those misconceptions. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about actually what the true benefits this technology can be for people in the health and safety sector? It's obviously clearly not about just watching people, is it?
Yeah, that's such a good point. And most of our customers will always ask this question, is this, over surveillance or anything like that? And it's very much how you look at AI. I think when, like I said, just back on that point, you think of this, system taking over our jobs, or this AI versus the EHS manager, but it's very much not. It's a total complementary tool to how you do your role. So what we do at Protex, and one thing which is really, really important, is it should never be seen as a finger wagging exercise, whereby Mark has done this, and we go in and we say, Mark, you're not supposed to do that. That's not the huge benefit of systems like this. What we do at Protex is we do this thing called managing by the collective, and we enable companies to manage by the collective, where it's spotting these trends over time, not an aspect of, hey, we're pointing fingers at people on site and trying to improve them. On an individual side of things. How we do that then, and I guess how we go beyond the whole, picking up the GDPR aspect, which is always a question, is this thing called person de-identification. So what we're doing here is or rather what we're not doing is picking up PII. So PII is personal identifiable information. And that's where it comes into the fold of being individual with safety. But what we do at Protex is we actually de-identify the person. We don't pick up names, we don't pick up facial recognition. You can do blurring, you can do all that type of stuff in order to preserve that privacy and enable these companies to manage the workforce as a whole rather than by the individual person.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you is, I think our audience will now have a better understanding of what this technology can do, and that's certainly what we want to try and open people's eyes to today. But who are you really targeting as your customers? So we talked about our audience a fair bit in here. We have people that are heads of health and safety for major manufacturers, major brands, for example. It could be someone in a warehouse. What is your ideal customer base? Are you looking for someone on a construction site? Are you looking for someone in a warehouse? Or are you looking for someone at National Trust that's responsible for public facing buildings or tall buildings? What is, so we can relate this to the people listening. Who is it you want to try and reach out to today and go, actually, this technology can help you in your day-to-day job, keeping people and property safe?
Yeah, I guess first and foremost, we just love talking about this stuff as a team. We get a great kick out of just talking to safety leaders and people who are trying to get ahead of the curve on safety and the new wave of technology that's coming into the field and things to play with. What we always say internally is we don't deal with paper cuts. It's not small injuries we're dealing with. We deal with big, heavy, lots of things going on in industries. So think ports, logistics, warehousing, manufacturing, waste management, those type of things where there's lots and lots of injuries. And the reason there's injuries and incidents, and through no one's fault at all, from the health and safety teams, is this whole data play. There's so many things going on in each of these sectors, in each of these industries, that it's so hard to get a grasp of exactly what's going on and that visibility around their sites. So that's exactly what Protex does, and what the AI does is it complements their existing health and safety workflows by giving them that data. And what we always say is identifying the unknown unknowns. What are the things you're not too sure about, but you have an inkling about or at your site, but you just need the data to make the decision. And that's exactly what systems like Protex can do, is to provide that for these massive industries.
So I guess I really want to round off by just asking you potentially to give some advice to our listeners. So can you possibly give any advice or key advice that you think should be out there for any companies looking to adopt AI?
Sure. Yeah, we've actually got a whole blog on our website if anybody wants to check it out too, on our protex.ai website. But on top of it, I think if AI is something and technology is something you want to introduce in your safety flows, start small. You don't have to go and say, hey, we want to change a game. It's about adopting the technology and seeing where it's applicable. And if data is something that you're trying to grasp and trying to get control of in your facility, then identifying it in a wider sense by bringing in a new bit of technology is a great way to begin.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the website. There's a couple of really interesting articles in that blog section, which is obviously right at the top nav of your website. Two I was looking at is, AI versus human, the future role for EHS managers. I'm sure that'll be of interest to our listeners, as well as, how to use AI to promote a proactive safety culture. And we've touched on that today, obviously throughout this conversation. But so for the people that have listened today and want to find out more about Protex AI or about AI in general, maybe, because you obviously clearly show you're passionate about talking about the topic. If people want to get more information or have some questions, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Sure, lots of ways, and not just myself, but the whole team. But for myself, the best way is probably between LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn, just Dan Hobbs, and the company. Check out Protex. Or follow us on our page where we've lots of always great content. We don't just do content about Protex, by the way. We talk about the industry as a whole and introducing technology into it. So if that's a topic people like, feel free to follow us on our LinkedIn page. On top of that, email is great too. I'm always on there. So it's Dan, Dan.Hobbs, Hobbs, at protex.ai.
Brilliant. And as you said, the website is www.protex.ai. Really great to talk to you. I mean, it's really a developing part of our sector now. I can see how this is going to take off. And I think it's a really interesting take that you've had. And, as you said, the AI side of things is really relevant to, logistics sector, ports, maritime, manufacturing, retail, waste management. And a lot of our listeners are working in that. So, thank you for coming on today. I really enjoyed catching up with you.
No problem. Thanks very much, Mark.
And that's all we've got time for in this edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. And if you want to see all the latest news, prosecutions, health and safety products and services, or go to see our webinars on demand for free, or sign up to upcoming webinars, all you need to do is go to www.hsmsearch.com. You can also go there to sign up to get a copy of HSM for free, print or digital format, and you'll also get the BSIF annual guide included in that, and the PPE Insights guide annually that comes with that. And, of course, you can use it as a link to go to our digital conference. It is on the main navigation on hsmsearch.com, but I would encourage you to attend our digital conference, which takes place for free on the 5th to 6th of October 2022. And if you want the direct URL for that, it's hsmdigitalconference.com. You'll get a CPD certificate for attending either or both days, or you can just put in a search engine, Health and Safety Matters Digital Conference. I'd also encourage you to enter the Safety and Health Excellence Awards for free. Entries are now open. All you need to do there is go www.she-awards.com or put in a search engine, Safety and Health Excellence Awards. If you want to give any feedback on this podcast, I'm always keen to hear it. All you need to do is go to Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere like that, and use the hashtag HSM podcast. But thank you to Dan Hobbs, who is our main guest today, and thank you to all of you for taking time out of your day to listen to this podcast. And if you want to get alerts of when it comes out, it is monthly, but you can just subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use, such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. And just type in Health and Safety Matters podcast and hit the subscribe button. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the next edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast.